We are creating our reality by what we put out. We are drawing towards us a reflection of ourselves, our inner self. So the people, places, and experiences that we draw to us are our creation. They are an expression of us and the state of being we are in. Now, if that's the case, then if the Illuminati can manipulate us to believe that the answers to the world and the answers to the problems and the changes we want in our lives are out there, we're always going to be trying to change the reflected, or the reflection rather than the reflected. So if you take this image, this is the inner self. This is our vibrational state. This is our inner emotional and mental state of being, which is represented by the vibrational frequencies of those thoughts and emotions. This is the physical world, which reflects in its creation what is coming from the inner self. If we are looking here to change this, it's basically like having a projector in a movie theater and trying to change the movie by changing what's on the screen. You can't do it. You've got to go back to the source to change what is being projected. So if we want to change our lives out there, we need to change our lives in here, even on a very simple level. If I have hate in my heart, I am going to take consequences for that in what I create in my life. If I have love in my heart, I am going to create very different circumstances. This is a very basic truth. You only have to experience it to see it. And so, if we change what's in here, we must change what's out there, because this is just a reflection of this. And what happens is, there's two ways of evolving and from this. And it goes like this. People think that, responsibility is like, oh, responsibility. Responsibility is freedom. Once you take responsibility back for your own life, you start to realize what freedom is. There's two ways of evolving. One, which more and more people are opening up to, and the other, which is where humanity has been for so long. It goes like this. First stage, you're putting out your state of being, your mental and emotional state where you are. You're drawing to you, as a result of that, people, places, ways of life, and experiences that reflect what you're putting out. Now, in the conditioned state, we are conditioned not to look at the source of our creation, why we've drawn these people in who are pains in the arse instead of people who are going to be nice. We are conditioned to look out there. So when people come into our lives that we don't like, we go, She's terrible what she's done to me. I'm in this state, because of this woman. And I tell you what, I'm also here because of that person. 1963 it was a Tuesday. What she did to me, that's why I'm in this state. What this means is that what we're doing is looking out there to find the answers. As a result of that, what's creating this, what we're putting out, is not changing. And what you do when you get into this cycle, and we've all been there, my goodness me, we're all there to a certain extent still, is you see the cycles in your life, where people of the same type keep coming in, where the same things keep happening in your life, and you get really pissed. Ethel, you'll never guess, it's only happened again. And we think we're so bloody unlucky. We don't realize we're creating it. It's a wonderful line I came across. If you've always done, or if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. It's a brilliant line. And so we get into these cycles. And because humanity has been given its power away and its mind away for so long, we've got in the cycle over thousands of years of constantly being subordinate to a force of manipulation and control. There's another way, however, of doing this, and that's to take power, therefore responsibility, back. And more people are doing this. As the penny starts to drop. At this stage, you put out your mental and emotional state, you draw in a reflection of it. Now, instead of looking out there and blaming everybody for the state we're in, we start looking in here. Why have I pulled this pain in the arse into my life? And I tell you what, I've pulled some serious pains in the arse in the last few years. I can't tell it. And anyway, I pull him in, you pull him in, and you say, what is this saying about me? How is life speaking to me? What is it saying about me that I'm drawing this in? Or is it trying to give me an experience so I can learn something about the bigger picture? Whatever, you're looking here. Now, when the penny drops, right, I've learned from that. I know what this experience is about, which I've created. Your imagination of self changes, either subtly or if it's a massive experience, very significantly. Now, your mental and emotional state has changed. The vibe you're putting out has changed. The people and experiences you pull in change because you're no longer syncing with the old ones because your vibrational state has flipped and moved as a result of the change of imagination. So the awakening people are now going, why did I create this? Got it. Change what we pull in, move on. Oh, why have I created this? Got it. State changes, vibrational state changes. We don't pull that in anymore. They go out of our lives. That experience goes out of our lives. We've moved on again. But most of humanity, who is stuck in blame and all this stuff, is actually still saying, it's her fault, it's your fault, it's their fault. And the fact is that the Illuminati are manipulating the world. And they have manipulated it for a long time. But the truth is, they're only doing it because of us. We are giving ourselves a massive experience here as a human family of what happens when you give your power away and what happens when you let someone else think for you. And we are now at the cusp, as this veil lifts, of a massive evolutionary leap when we understand the consequences of giving your power away and you start to take it back. If you give power away around your own life, you give power over your life away. If enough of us do it, we give the world away, and that's what we've done. And we can take it back without stockpiling weapons, without violence. My goodness me, what's the use of meeting violence with violence? You get twice the violence. Oh my God, we've moved on. Just by being who we really are. That is the revolution. And more and more, as the research unfolds, you start to see some of the more open-minded scientific research supporting these themes. When you put out fear, you draw towards you the energy of fear. This is why we keep constantly drawing to us what we most fear. When I was a kid, I was terrified of dogs, Terrified of dogs. We had this little, in Leicester in England where I was brought up, I lived on this big council estate, see, and there was this green between where I lived and the shops. It was only one stop on the bus. I used to catch the bus because every time I was terrified of dogs. When I walked across this green, I'm surrounded by dogs. They're yapping at me, they're jumping up at me. My mates, they're not frightened of dogs. Dogs go nowhere near him. Nowhere near them. And so what do? You go into victim mode, don't you? You go into victim mode. I'm so unlucky. See, you're not frightened of bloody dogs that don't come near you, and I'm so unlucky. Oh, victim, victim, victim. And I went into my mate's house, and he had a real docile dog called Prince. And when I went into his house, this friggin' thing took a piece out of my jacket. Went berserk. And his mother said, oh, he's never done that before. I thought, no, I'm bloody here, ain't I? Now, I would probably, had I not drawn that to me, spent years of my life being frightened of dogs and and creating a situation in which I kept well away from them. As a result of facing that fear, as a result of pulling in what I fear, I was able to overcome the fear of dogs when I was a kid. And that's important, you know. We talk about punishment and all that stuff. It's evolution, it's love. If we don't draw to us what we most fear in this genius we call creation, then that area of our evolution to which our fear relates, it's over. We don't normally say, oh, I'm frightened of that, here I come. We go, oh, change the subject, not going there. So we draw it in, face it, look at it, move through it, let it go. This is what it's about, love, not punishment. It's the same with facing the consequences of our actions. So when we are in fear of something, we draw it to us. This is why fearing, so many people in this area that I work in, who I've met over the years, who were fearing the consequences, manipulate us to believe that the answers to the world and the answers to the problems and the changes we want in our lives are out there. We're always going to be trying to change the reflected, or the reflection rather than the reflected. So if you take this image, this is the inner self. This is our vibrational state. This is our inner emotional and mental state. I am going to create very different circumstances. This is a very basic truth. You only have to experience it to see it. And so, if we change what's in here, we must change what's out there, because this is just a reflection of this. And what happens is, there's two ways of evolving and from this. And it goes like this. People think that, responsibility is like, oh, responsibility. We are creating our reality by what we put out. We are drawing towards us a reflection of ourselves, our inner self. So the people, places, and experiences that we draw to us are our creation. They are an expression of us and the state of being we are in. Now, if that's the case, then if the Illuminati can manipulate and trying to change the movie by changing what's on the screen, you can't do it. You've got to go back to the source to change what is being projected. So if we want to change our lives out there, we need to change our lives in here, even on a very simple level. If I have hate in my heart, I am going to take consequences for that in what I create in my life. If I have love in my state of being, which is represented by the vibrational frequencies of those thoughts and emotions. This is the physical world, which reflects in its creation what is coming from the inner self. If we are looking here to change this, it's basically like having a projector in a movie theater